Morning, you guys. Well, just time prepping. I got kind of a busy day planned today, so I thought I'd just go ahead and knock this out for you guys. I was gonna wait until later today, but better just get her done in case I get way late later. Okay, before we get started on where we're gonna go, because we're gonna be talking about just how prepared you really are. So before we go that way, I want to go and get into the shout outs, or the community supporters, excuse me. Trying not to use that other crazy word because of the algorithm. But I want to go ahead and give out my community supporters for this week. I'm clearing my throat because first one I'm going to have to do a little thing for here. So community supporters for this week are, I got at the #1 spot, Tosh Time. And if anybody knows about Tosh Time, she's a pretty crazy lady. And if you've watched any of her videos, you know that they're, yeah, what? So, you know, that's how she is. She's really known for that. So, yeah, what? So there you go, Tosh Time. The second one I have down for number 2 for this week is Daniel, God is my judge. And that guy, he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. He's only been around my channel for a while, but you know what? He pretty down to earth young man. So I would like for you guys to go see these guys that I'm naming off here. Another one is SJ's Mixed Adventures. She does mainly live streams, and she does a little bit of everything. That's called SJ's Mixed Adventures is the name of the channel. And a very nice young lady. And she does a little bit of everything. She auctioned off some coins the other day. But she does a miscellaneous of stuff, and she'll just sit and talk to people for a while. But next one in the #4 spot is Fairy Frequencies. This lady, she is believes in astrological things. She does tarot readings for everybody. If you go into her live stream and you're there, she'll do a tarot card reading for you. So she's a pretty good lady to go check out. You might want to see how your day's going or something, you know. The next one I have is, I'm going to try to get this because of my writing, Cat Loco's Garage. This guy, he's just a little guy just starting out, but he's very knowledgeable. He'll take you on cruises to go run down parts for the cars he's working on and stuff, and work on the cars and stuff like that. He's a mechanic type of guy. And he's just getting started, and he's really wanting to get up there before the February 20th deadline. So if you'd do me a big favor, go check this guy out. I would really, really appreciate it. Another one I have is Dr. Fish. And he does stuff for children, and he's sort of like the science guy. So go check out Dr. Fish. He does a lot of stuff with the kids. And then the last one for today is going to be Prepper Madness, and you can tell by the name what he's up to, but go check him out. He's a pretty good guy. Okay, that's the community supporters for this week. And so I would like for you guys to go check them out and give them a little love, some support, give them a thumbs up, share their videos and all that good stuff, and give them some watch time. I'd appreciate that. So today's lesson is what we're going to do is we're going to find out and determine just how prepared you really are. And remember, the other day is, I got my notes here and everything, so is we're going to talk about SWOT, SWOT, not SWAT. And we talked a little bit about this the other day, and I told you that when we got here I would explain to you. My notes are getting all screwed up here. Hold on. Come on. There. I was telling you I would explain to you about what SWOT stood for. So the initials SWAT actually mean for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. SWOT. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the SWOT, just how prepared you are. So it's an easy method to really understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and it gives you an opportunity to exploit or find out the threats that you might need to avoid during any given situation. So performing a SWOT analysis on yourself and your capabilities is a great way to determine how you really are preparing. So I'm going to ask you to just go ahead and get a notebook and some paper. You might want to take some notes while we go along the way here. So SWOT strengths. A good place to start in the inventory is what you currently have. This can be everything from stockpiles of food or ammo or stockpiles even of knowledge. So what's important is that we need to start looking at what we have, what we know, and a current strengths that we might have in case or during a disaster. Analyzing your strengths will give you a good idea of what you're capable of doing. It's also a good way of discovering things that you may never even have considered to be your strengths, but could be extremely beneficial during a survival scenario. So these are questions that you can ask yourself to determine what your strengths are. You could ask yourself what survival gear or equipment or tools that you might currently have that would help in that situation. What other items that you have in your home that might be useful for during a crisis situation, like blankets, food, tools, things like that. What skills do you have that you could be used in a survival situation? Your personal set of skills. What resources do you have in the area that can be used during a survival situation? Not just in your home, but maybe around your community. What kind of resources do you have? And then you could also make a list of what you feel are your general everyday strengths, and then determine if these strengths could be useful during a crisis or a disaster. So these are things that you can do to inventory yourself and your community to find out just what you're going to need during a disaster or crisis situation. What you really need to do is be honest with yourself. That's when you'll get the most benefit out of the exercise that we're doing today. By honestly detailing in your weaknesses, now you'll be better prepared to survive a crisis situation. Once you know that what your weaknesses are, you can start to tweak them a little bit and train yourself to better deal with them. So think about what you really want to find out about your deficiencies in a certain area, and then when things go really bad, then you'll be set up to take care of that weakness. So here's the questions that you should be asking yourself to determine about your weaknesses. What skills do you need to improve on? Also, are there certain survival skills that you had never really actually practiced? Say you tell yourself that you need to know this skill, and you write it down on your piece of paper, but you actually go out and practice it so that you can actually get better at it instead of it becoming a weakness. Is there anything about your location that could be considered a weakness? And then if there is, you need to find a way to make it a strength. So do you have any medical problems or disabilities? If you do, like me, I have COPD. So what you have to do is you have to learn what you can do with that disability, turn the weakness into a strength. And then what other things do you lack that you may become a problem during the crisis or disaster? You need to find out, ask yourself what you're lacking in your practices so that you can bring it into the crisis and actually be able to handle it. So let's talk about opportunities next. SWOT opportunities. When you're listing your opportunities, try to imagine what resources and opportunities are currently available to you. And then what will be available when the disaster strikes. So here we are going into the things of preparing, you know, and these are things I've always told you, like the food, the water, and the shelter. Well, there's other things, your tools, not just hand tools, but your mental tools. So you want to make sure that the resources that you have in your area or location aren't going to go bad. Are the opportunities that you're taking advantage of, will that help strengthen some of your weaknesses? Like local classes, can you take some classes locally? Can you get some survival books? Maybe go to a survival school. There's also websites, or there's even learning resources on the web that you can go to. So also, do you have a network of people? And this is where I was telling you the one day about the MAG, and that's your multi-aid group. And so, you know, that's, do you have a network of people? You know, that's your group. So these are all things in your opportunities that you need to really look at. Now let's go into threats. The threats would be to truly be prepared, that you need to have a realistic idea of what your threats are and how likely it is that each threat can happen. By going through this exercise, you'll better prepare yourself to face each one of the scenarios. And we went through those scenarios yesterday, so if you actually pull out your strengths and your weaknesses, your opportunities, you come down to the threats, and then you can better prepare for those. So you'll know exactly what skills you need to work on and what plans you need to put in place and what equipment you'll be most likely to need. So all these things that we've been talking about for the last few days, if you're taking your inventory, and by the time you get to this part of your inventory, you will be able to have a plan in place and know the equipment that you need to execute the plan. So, what are the things that you can help to identify the future threats? What are the most likely threats that you'll face? So you need to write those down on your list, like a natural disaster, things we talked about already, economic threats, or even shtf scenarios. And then you'll have to write down and figure out what your obstacles are that you're going to face. So what are the immediate dangers in your location? And then who is the biggest threat in your neighborhood, like your gangs, your criminals, or things like that? Make sure you list those too, because you'll have to face this stuff in the shtf scenario. And then you want to take another look at all your weaknesses. Can your weaknesses seriously threaten your survival? Because if they can, you need to take those weaknesses out of the equation by making them strengths. So the next step is the most important part of performing your SWOT, and that's got to do with what your findings are. That's what we've been writing down on your note paper and taking your notes. You need to start analyzing that so that the findings are all going to come out into a positive scenario. That each threat or opportunity, whatever, is going to turn out to be positive. There's no point in performing one unless you can plan how to take the action for it. Now, this is all a good idea of your overall level of preparedness, but you'll need to act on the findings and start creating a strategic plan of action. So it is all coming down to now that all these things that I've been trying to teach you guys is, if you've written it all down, you plan on your strengths and your weaknesses and your opportunities and your threats. You write all that down, and then you inventory it, and you figure out how you can make each one of those things a positive thing, so that when the true shtf disaster, earthquake, tornado, flood, whatever, happens, that you'll be able to handle that situation in a positive manner instead of freaking out and not knowing what to do. Okay, that's it for today. I've got a honeydew list, and I want to make sure that you guys study the list that I've given you and the things that we covered for today, because tomorrow we're going to start into another part of your survival plan, and that's your decks. So you work on the plan that I've given you for today, and tomorrow when we come in and we start talking, we're going to start talking about trying to live debt free so that you're prepared for any situation. Okay, that's what I got. That's for today's lesson. I hope you got something out of it. It's all going to come together for you guys if you just pay attention. I mean, you can do what I do and you write it down. And you write it down so that you can remember it, so that you can study it, so that you can practice it. It all comes down to just doing the stuff that you need to do. I mean, you can still live your everyday life and you can still do all the things you want to do, but you still have to find some time to go through your list and make sure that you're going to be able to take care of you, yourself, and of your family. And that's very important. Okay, don't forget to go see the people on the community supporters list. Tosh Time, Daniel is my judge, SJ's Mixed Adventures, Fairy Frequencies, Cat Loco's Garage, and Dr. Fish and Prepper Madness. Go see those guys, visit their channels, give them some watch time. Let's start supporting each other here. So that's what I have. I've already ran over on my darn time again for today's video, but that's okay because I want to make sure that you guys understand everything that we're up against here and support your local YouTube channel at the same time. So until next time, as you know, I want you guys to hit that like button. I want you guys to share it with your friends and subscribe, okay? Until next time, thanks for watching.